Well, hello, welcome again to our reading of selections from Plato's Symposium, and I'm up to section 177. Now, in the previous section, Eryximachos had suggested that they get rid of the flute players. They've already decided not to drink too much, to get rid of the flute players, and he was going to introduce a topic for them to discuss. And so he begins again, we've got to supply FA. So he said that everyone said, in fact, so everyone said yes, and they wished him to introduce this topic, because he said, do you want me to? They all said, yes, we want you to. And they bid him, eisegeste, to introduce it. Epein un ton Eryximachon, hoti. And he said that Eryximachos then said, and then we get hoti recitative here, so it's just like inverted commas. I often don't translate the hoti. Hemen moi arche tu logu esti kataten Euripidu melanipein. Literally, the beginning of the account for me is according to the Melanippe of Euripides. In other words, I'm going to begin my account using the words of the Melanippe of Euripides. Now, the Melanippe is a lost play. It's Melanippe the Wise, and the opening words are here. Well, part of them are quoted and then he changes it. So he says here, Uga emos homuthos alaphaidru tudi hon melo legain. So the original quotation from this lost play is Ug emos homuthos alates metros para, which is my account. This is not my account, but that from my mother. And here he says this is not my account, but that of Phaedrus here. This is quite dactyl, he's pointing to Phaedrus, but of Phaedrus here. Hon melo legain, which I'm about to speak. Melo generally takes a future infinitive, but not always, and not here. It's interesting that you often get quotations from Greek plays that they've only heard them once, or possibly they may have had text to read them, but they seem to have a very good memory for taking lines out of plays just having seen them once. Anyway, Phaedrus gar hekastoti prosme aganactone lege. Udenon thesin o Eryximachi, alois mentisi theon homus kai pionas anai hupatone poieton pepoi menus to de eroti. I'm going to go to a new page, unfortunately. So for Phaedrus, now historic present here, says to me hekasti on several occasions, and this is a participle from agonactio, to be irritated, or here it's just something like complaining. So for Phaedrus, says to me on many occasions, Eudaimon. Now this is important to keep the Eudaimon. Is it not strange that, because this affects what's coming up further. Is it not strange, he said, O Eryximachos, that to certain others of the gods there are for certain others of the gods hymns and paeans. Paeans are just songs of praise. Pepoi e menus, and agreeing with these two accusatives, this is a perfect passive participle. Poio, used in this context of poetry, means to compose, so having been composed by the poets. Poio is the usual word used for composing poetry. We'll see later the songgrapho is used for composing prose. So is it not strange, he said, O Eryximachos, that for certain others of the gods there are hymns and paeans composed by the poets, to de eroti, but for love up properly here. Tolikuto onti kai tosuto theo mede hena popoti tosuton gegenoton poieton pepoie kenai maiden encomion. Being so old, so being such an ancient god, and being such a god that he is, not one of such poets who have existed, popoti, has ever made, now Greek has double negatives here, no encomion, and encomion is a hymn of praise. So nor has any one of those poets who existed has ever made any hymn of praise. E de boule aus skepsasthitus Christus sophistas Heracleus men kai alonipenus catalogaden sum graphein hospe hobeltistos prodicus. But if you wish, moreover, to examine skepsasthai, the best sophists, well, it's something like, you will find that they have written, this is this sun grapho again, it's a word meaning that they compose in prose, and then the catalogadein also means it's in order. So prose writers generally recorded things in some order, so we get our word catalogue from this. I'll translate the whole phrase here, that they compose in prose praises of Heracles and of others, hosper, such as the most excellent Prodicus. Now, Prodicus was a late 5th century writer from Chios. He wrote the famous story of the choice of Heracles between virtue and vice, which is preserved in Xenophon's Memorabilia, Book 2. So he's saying here, if you look carefully at these best sophists, you'll see that they have composed prose works of praise of Heracles and others, just like the most excellent Prodicus. Kai tutor haeton kai thamaston. And this is, well, it's less surprising, less amazing. The chi is slightly awkward here. It's something, it's emphasizing it, I think. So this is, I translated this whole bit here, that this is not very surprising. Allah, but egoge ade tini en etukon biblia andros sophu, en hoi enesan hales, epainon thalmasion ekontas prosophilion, kai alla toyu to sukna idois an en kekomiasmena. So I, the ade often, well, it can mean now, but it can just mean just recently. So something like I, or just now, or just recently, entukon from entunkano, I encountered in a certain book written by a wise man, of a wise man. So I came across in a certain book in which, now the na-san is rather odd here. Some translators take this is from from neo, in that sense of to pile up, and so they render it as they pile up salt. It seemed to me that it's just from amy. Salt is included. The hales can be either nominative or accusative in this form, from hals. So in which they included salt, or in which they included salt, having an amazing or a surprising praise with regard to its usefulness. So he says, just recently I came across in a book written by a wise man where, or in which, salt was being being praised amazingly with regard to its usefulness, and other such sukna, something like trivial things, little things, other such trivial things, you might see having been praised. Perfect passive participle here from Komiasdo. So he says that people are writing all sorts of ridiculous things, including things about salt, and when in fact nobody's bothered to write about Eros. To'un toiuton men peri polone spudane poiasastai. Now notice the accent on peri, which tells you that it's referring to the things in front, not after. So he said then that they make, I thought of this as polane spudane, they make much fuss. They make much ado about nothing. They make much fuss regarding such things. And then we're going to men here, and there's the de, but none of men yet has dared up to this day humnesai to make a hymn, or to hymn Eros, to praise Eros, to make a hymn about Eros axios in a worthy manner. Ala hutos ameletai tosutos theos, but such a god in this way, ameletai, has been neglected from amelio. This is the perfect passive here, I think. But such a god has been neglected in this way. Tauta de moidoke eulegain Phaedros. And it seems to me that in respect of these things, Phaedros to speak well. So it seemed to me that Phaedros was speaking well on this matter. Ego un epithumo hama men tu to eranon eis enenkain kai charizasthai hamaden to paronti prepon moi doke enai hamin tois parusi cosmesaiton theon. I therefore, I desire, now we get a hama men, and then there's a hama de. So at the same time, eis enenkain from eis pharaoh, perhaps to propose and to offer freely, and eranon. And eranon's a funny word. It means a loan, generally made for philanthropic purposes, or can mean a contribution. Becomes a technical word, I think, in 5th century Athens, where you make an offering to the state and so on. Here, I think it's just contribution here. So, for I desire at the same time to propose and to offer freely a contribution to this one, that is to Eros, Hamade, and at the same time, doke moi enai, it seems to me to be prepon fitting, to be appropriate for us, I should say, for us the ones present, so for us who are present, cosmesaiton theon, to adorn the god. Eun sundoke kai humin genoitan hemin in logos hukane diatribe. If therefore it seems good, and then we get the sun with all of you, kai as well. So it seems to me that if therefore this seems good also to you, so if you're all in agreement, then there would be for us in our speeches hikane diatribe, Diatribe is a sort of funny word. It means pastime or spare time, plenty of time. So hikane diatribe, I think something like there would be plenty of time. There would be plenty of time for us, understand, to do this in logos, in our speeches. Doke ga moi krena hikaston hemon logon epain, epainon erotos epidexia, hos an dunetai kaliston. Archen de phydron proton, epedikai protos kataketai kai estin hama pate tu logu. For it seems to me that it is necessary for each one, it seems therefore to be that it is necessary, for each one of you to speak a word of praise, a praise word account. So to give an account of praise of Eros, perhaps defining genitive here in regard to Eros, epidexia, literally towards the right, that is from left to right, hosan dunetai kaliston, a most beautiful one, as much as he would be able. So to give the best that they're able. But for Phaedrus to begin first, and since we get a chi and chi, both he reclines first of all, first in line, because they're going from left to right, and he at the same time, we get hammer here, we just get one hammer, and at the same time he is the father, perhaps initiator, of the account of the story, of our discussion. Udes soi o Eryximachos phanai ton Socrate enantia pse phaetai. O Eryximachos, he said that Socrates said, no one will vote, this is this Attic future from, say, Phisdamai, this is an Attic future here, no one will vote against this, said Socrates. Utica anpu ego apophesaimi, hos uden femi alla epistas thy eta erotica, utipu agathon kai pausanios, ude main Aristophanes hoperi dionuson kai Aphroditan passahe diatribe, udi allos udes to toni hon ego horo. So for neither would I, poo is indefinite here, you can see it's enclitic as well, for I would not in any way refuse, I who literally say that I am learning nothing udain allo, nothing else than the things regarding love, perhaps that I am interested in nothing else except the things regarding love. It's epistasthai, is to be in a process of learning. So since I am learning, since I'm doing nothing else but learning about the things regarding love, nor perhaps Agathon and Pausanias, who I think we discover later are in fact lovers, nor indeed Aristophanes, for whom, well, passate diatribe, all his spare time, understand, is concerned with Dionyson, with Dionysus and Aphrodite, love. Reference here to his comic poets, to his comic works here, that he's written a lot of stuff about, which includes endless references to Aphrodite and Dionysus, a god of pleasure and wine. So it's sort of who spends all his time in wine, women and song is almost the sense of it here. Udi alos udes, nor anyone else of those. Now the it is that deictic, so it's a pointing word. So in the context this was being performed, and you would point. So nor anyone else of these ones, of whom, so it's attracted into the genitive, whom I am looking at. Kaitoi, moreover, or perhaps nevertheless, it will be not ex isu, it will not be equal, perhaps almost fair, for us, the ones reclining last of all. But if those before might speak, hikanos, sufficiently, now we would say sufficiently well, the Greek says sufficiently and well. So those who speak before us, if they speak sufficiently well, exakese hemon, that will be sufficient for us. Altuke agathe kataketo Phaedrus kai en komiazeto ton erota. But by good luck, let Phaedrus begin, make a beginning, and so by his good fortune, may Phaedrus make a beginning, and let him make a song of praise to Eros. And that's section 177.